actually thought at halftime we did a pretty good job on everybody else. I mean, if you look at this stat sheet, who else on their team had a great, a good stat line for themselves other than Stewie and Tuck? That doesn't mean their team isn't phenomenal and they make things look easy and all that. I have a chance to be part of USA Basketball. I'm on the selection committee, so I got to see her very close up this summer, both here and then overseas. So there is no surprise, with me. We have a pretty darn good player in our backyard in Janae Lumake, but I think, I think Janae might be considered the best player in the country. But there's nothing Brianna Stewart can't do, and I think every WBB team would probably take her first if she was coming out this year. And I was impressed tonight with, I'm always impressed with how easy she makes it look effortless, and her skill set at that size. Seeing it up close, I think, was even more impressive than what I'd seen on film already, which is a big thing to say since she was pretty impressive on film. But she's going to be wearing an Olympic jersey someday. She's going to be someone's headliner on the WNBA team, obviously. But to do that as a sophomore in college, and to do it at Madison Square Garden, and on a big stage, you just, as a basketball person, you can't take those type of performances for granted because you don't see them that well. And she played like the superstar All-American that she is, and I think we're lucky in women's college basketball to have someone at that talent level, except when you're playing against her.
Coach, you got to talk to Gino last Friday about how hard it was for Connecticut coming off the first Final Four, those next couple of years for him, and how difficult expectations, how things changed. What's it been like for your program coming off the first Final Four?
Yeah, we talked before the game, and he told me that it was difficult when you didn't have those go-to people. I mean, here's the thing: expectations are higher, and isn't that what we wanted? I mean, that's what we want for our program, is for people to see us in a different light, and for there to be high expectations. But it's a process. You're in and you're out to play at that level, and it makes me respect the Ginos and the Taras and those programs even more, because they make it look easy, and it's not easy. We have a brand new team. From having 4 freshmen to having everybody in a different role. Brittany and Rashonda, our star players in the Fleury, are in different roles, and so it's hard, to maintain that level of excellence. But that's what we want for ourselves, and I do think this team's best days are in front of us. I think we're going to continue to get better over the course of the next 2 months. But I think everybody in the program, understands you can't just talk about being a Final Four team. You have to do things every day that put you at that level, and that's been a little bit of a learning process for this team.
Did you notice it in recruiting or through the summer from the reaction of high school kids going forward? And I know who signed, but as far as like younger kids, say you're a Final Four program, did you notice a difference there?
Absolutely. I think it's actually going to be more in the long term that we see the recruiting effect. The kids in the 2014 class, we already had such deep relationships with them even before that run. But I'm seeing it, story, and to me it was like, I texted my assistants, well, I was going to watch one of the local California club teams play a game in the summer, and I was in the stands, and the younger kids, the 6th and 7th graders in that program, were like, "Are you Coach Gottlieb? Can we take a picture with you?" I texted my assistant saying, maybe this is going to pay off down the road. Certainly, obviously, we're getting more interest from players in different parts of the country as well, because people can now say, "Oh, we saw you on TV." So I think there'll be an impact as we go forward in recruiting, certainly.
Yeah. Let's take out the score, but it must have been at least a fun homecoming for you, being in New York City, playing in New York area.
Definitely.
As far as the city, but
yeah.
Being here and being in the Garden.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, a lot of things. I started to love college basketball when I was a junior in high school, and UConn was recruiting my best friend, who was the point guard on our team. And as Gino, it's in the book. She was the first kid who kind of really broke his heart. She went to Duke. We still talk about that. But I got to go up and watch them practice, and I graduated in '95, so that was the year of Lobo and Rosati and Pam Weber and Jamel Elliott, and I got to watch them practice and be around. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. So to be on an opposite sideline from him and them is really special to me. We almost had that opportunity in the national championship game last year, but those last 10 minutes against Louisville, so that was really neat for me. And then just to be in New York, and having grown up a Knicks fan, and the Garden is the coolest place in the world, and I've been to Ranger games and Knicks games and Liberty games, and so yeah, absolutely a thrill. It was about our players and about this team and being on the stage, but I would be lying if I said, it wasn't a neat thing for me. And I think you have to enjoy those moments if you're in coaching, because there's so many things that can stress you out.
Question right here.
First of all, you guys definitely competed and played hard, so I don't think you should have any concern about that. I think people will have that as a takeaway.
Thanks.
Just one point about the game. We've got 4 minutes to go. It looked like, I couldn't tell for sure because I wasn't elevated, that you put like a 1-3-1 full court press. It actually rattled them for like one possession. Had you thought about maybe doing something like that earlier in the game?
You know, pressing is part of what we do, but obviously you go into each game and say, okay, of all the things in your defensive packages, what is going to work best? You know, our regular, you know, man-to-man defense looked pretty good in the first half, and I say that knowing they scored 40, you know, and that Stewie went off, but it looks all right. I felt like that was our best shot, but probably we should have messed with the press a little bit earlier. With 4 or 5 minutes to go, I'm like, are we going to press them? Is he going to put Stewie back in? Is he going to put, you know, but I thought it was fun. You know, this was about a learning experience for our players. I want to look at them and say, if we can press UConn, we can press anybody. If we can compete with UConn, I have to use this to help us going forward. But I think there's UConn. I think obviously Duke's really talented. Kentucky's playing well. But I think there's a mix of teams after the top ones that are fighting to be next. And if we can use this to help us, maybe we can get in that next group. And so to me, I want to say, hey, if we can practice what we practiced this week, we'll be better than we were. If we can press against UConn. So it was kind of a little bit of a mental thing with our team. And I thought we looked pretty good in it.
Yeah. More possession, you totally rattled.
Yeah.
And I wonder if how they would have handled it if they didn't prolong.
Maybe we'll get a chance to play them again in March. That would be fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.